Welcome, we're going to be looking at Robocop Road City. This is patch 1.04. We've got new gameplay. Hold on, whoa. Where's the intro? What is this? You're not skill up, mate. This isn't Gamer Acts. You're a couch coop. You can do better than that.
Come on, Sal. Tigers are playing tonight.
I'd buy that for $1.
Something for her to remember you by after you decided to get yourself killed and leave your family all alone, Alex Murphy.
Slime bags detected.
Thank you.
Look at that.
I am the police.
Robocop Rogue City has earned itself a place in the higher echelons of licensed modern 9th and 10th gen video games. I put Mad Max in there and the Arkham series, but technically that based on the film.
You want to get nuts? Come on.
Rogue City starts us off with an introduction to the old man, which is the OCP head. Not a tie-in with any of the actors there, but there is some really juicy stuff coming up, and there's a studio takeover.
50 hands off me.
I'm sorry. There seems to be a disturbance.
Nice little Prodigy nod there with the hairstyles, and we're in that cool ground that the 80s film really carved out for itself, and it's a sort of dirty Detroit future, almost cyberpunky, filthy retro image. I want to just briefly cover some of the homages to the films, the early and the strong ones. There's some really awesome stuff in here.
Oh, yeah. Go get him, boy.
I'm such a huge fan of Paul Verhoeven, the director, and if you're familiar with Starship Troopers, it's littered with adverts around the film, and Robocop's no different. Some of the graffiti and the images on the walls have got some definite nods to some iconic imagery from those adverts.
It's back.
That got me thinking about the Sux 6000. The adverts in Robocop are legendary. A Yamaha heart. I was going through the streets early and just couldn't see anything that was pointing towards it. And then I was getting closer. I'm like, this is more sedan-like.
If you feel lonely, you know where to find me, officer.
But then, of course, I found it outside the prison if you're currently playing the game. The game is far more story-driven and structured than I expected it to be, and Lois is in it loads at the beginning.
You are very resourceful.
Murphy, I'm a mess.
The police dog and its bitch.
Not sure which one is which.
What everybody has been talking about and what's reviewed very well, obviously, is this excellent first-person combat. You're quite slow-moving, but at the same time it's quite camera-rich, and there's loads of dissipation and excitement. The explosions are pretty current gen, and all of this is in quality mode. We also get a nice dose of the theme tune, early doors, and me clicking in the analog stick and putting night vision on by accident.
Guns.
We'll come back to the gunplay and the combat meta in a second. I want to talk about the game's whole psychology with that minute-to-minute gunplay, because it's quite interesting. You're sort of promoted to walk forwards. The grenades that are thrown at you cannot be thrown back, and they're normally thrown behind you, meaning that you just advanced closer to the enemy. And there's sort of a whole set of close quarters moves that then come into play once you're in arm's reach, pun intended. L2, or the aim button, it gives you that cool green screen targeting system that we saw from the film, and you also get these very detailed horizontal lines.
Any more tricks up your sleeve?
At the start of the game, there's no major buffs for having someone targeted other than they're outlined green. This is not like a VAT system or anything. It's quite handy because they are palette-wise not too different from what they're hiding behind. So seeing a head poke out and then having it marked green for you is something I'm a big fan of. And that's the first time I've ever been complimentary about a tagging system, because this falls back on that iconic rear projection, almost green screen, late 80s look. You would have also seen the throat grab, which is ridiculously overpowered. A Robocop's got the longest arms in first-person shooter games by a square mile, but it's very cool. It's kind of an insta-kill. It's like a Skittles thing, and you can send them all flying with a well-timed body throw.
What is this shit?
You've also got a breach mechanic, which offers a little bit of time slowdown. Now you can instigate your own bullet time later on, which is seriously cool, and we'll get to it. But this clip also shows some of the weirdness that's going on with the cutscenes. We haven't had any of that smoothed down. With the quality mode, the cutscenes has quite low frame rates, but the actual game itself is managing.
I can pay my bail now. Cash? No problem. Do you take singles?
Get back in line.
I hate the day shift.
The upgrade system is pretty standard stuff, giving you some hotkey moves on the directional buttons. You may be able to give yourself a health buff or even put down a flare, and the coolest one is obviously the bullet time, which moves over to L1. You can put that on whenever you want, but of course it does run out.
You came to clean up this city, didn't you?
I do just want to talk about Rogue City and its starter area that it introduces you to. It's kind of a locked in set of streets, but you have some mini objectives and some sort of crimes that you can sort out on an ad hoc basis. There's also quite a few characters in here, and there's definitely a double back aspect because a lot of the safes and various detective items are locked with a higher rank capability. I am showing you this clip twice because the reflections on that pink sign, we're looking at some extremely advanced graphics. This is definitely 10th gen feeling. It's just those cutscenes and a lot of the busyness on an explosive front, which we're coming up to. When you go to leave an area, it would be like, are you sure? Because you've left X, Y, and Z quests open. So it's definitely an incentive to make sure everyone in town's sorted out. You also get like evidence points, which puts up your XP meter up in the top right hand corner. That in turn gives you points to spend on your abilities. So it's a good idea to make sure all the shopkeepers are taken care of.
First they harass my customers. Then they threaten to burn down my shop. You need to do something about it, officer.
I've only stole.
Top marks for amazing 80s dramatic dying over a barrier there and landing fantastically on the ground. There's quite a lot of that hammy, awesome death work going on with this game. I did also want to mention that everything can be thrown in the game, well, almost everything, including TV monitors, whole chairs. You're obviously Robocop, you can throw huge wheelie bins around, but of course, you can also throw motorcycles.
Don't just fucking
There is a section in a paint factory where there's multiple fires. I'll show it to you in a second. It was the only real moment where I thought, do I need to turn this game down to performance? It didn't happen very often, and I'm quite satisfied with the way that this game performs on that quality mode.
Wakey, wakey! I'm talking to you, Shiny!
Let's talk about the game's story and the structure within it, and a lot of the harkbacks to the backstory of Alex Murphy. You hear his wife talking to him, it gets a bit Max Payne 1. They've definitely injected all of that cool lore with the idea of Murphy and the Robocop duality. It also has you doing some ridiculous side quests, including handling a complaints desk, passing a towel to someone in a shower, and mending some bloke's car.
I detected an electric current inside the cooling tank. I recommend grounding it to fix the problem, but I am sure that you knew about that already.
This is also how a lot of the mission briefs go down with me as well.
It's no secret that crime has been on the rise. Everett, the word on the street is that he wants to spend a lot of money in old Detroit. We need to find him before things get out of control.
Where do we look?
Our best bet is to see if he made contact with the torch heads. Robo.
Understood.
Everyone else, keep your eyes open. Any questions?
Any word on Briggs?
I totally recommend turning the radios on as well, as with the film, a lot of the media outlets have got a really dark undertone to them.
Dad, what does eviction mean? And who's a debt collector? Why can't I open the door for him? Dad, tell me the truth. Are we poor?
We're going to kiss goodbye to the sweet night times and neons now, because Robocop's mid-half has got loads of broad daylight set pieces in it, and they're pretty awesome.
None of his enemies got out of Highland Park alive.
I will be the first.
I'm gonna get fired.
Do the locations marry up to any timelines on the film? Not to my knowledge, but you get introduced to the precinct around about where Robocop wakes up in the film itself, and of course a lot of these out of the city areas, the iconic finale of the film, are constantly hinted at with a lot of the structures and broken down areas. Combat is obviously far more interesting, giving you slightly tougher enemies and all the dissipation on the brickwork. There's a lot more of it. This game's only as good as what it throws at you and the damage that you can do whilst you're in this shooting mode.
Give me all your money, bookworm, or I blow your brains out.
That brings me neatly over to the bikers, which are introduced at a perfect time. You really do get involved with having to slow down time, having to focus on them and throw their own bikes back at them. Eddie is in it. I don't want to spoil too much, but he's pretty cool. He's kind of the best looking Ed 209 in modern gaming. He's cropped up in loads of video games. So is Robocop actually in Mortal Kombat 11. He used Ed 209 on a lot of his special moves, but with this there is a fight. You saw a bit of it at the intro. I'm not going to spoil too much of it. The bosses are few and far between, and I'm not seeing enough machinery from the other films, if you get what I'm saying.
I don't want to fuck with you, Sal.
Do I have anything bad to say about Rogue City? No. And as a homage film licensed first-person shooter, they don't really come much better than this. As a first-person shooter standalone on the current market, it's going to have a bit of difficulty, but for someone who's a fan of the original film, even the second film, totally delivers on so many levels. I do, however, want it to perform better on 10th gen systems, and I want to see that quality mode at some lock frames and getting those cutscenes sorted out, and the transition issue where you see a couple of frames of checkered black and white. That's an easy one to do, and I'll keep a close eye on the patch performance front.
Holy shit! What was that?
Need to briefly talk about the excellence of getting Weller back in and keeping the mayor character as zany and crazy as he was in Robocop 1.
I've heard from a reliable source that he's planning to make you the highlight of his election bid.
I obviously need to go and check out this studio's Terminator material, because if it's as strong as this, then I'm in for a really good time. And I also want to say thank you very much for making it this far in the video. Please, if you can, like and sub, and to my community, thank you so much for recommending this game. It's totally scratched the Robocop itch. I'm a very happy guy. I'll see you down there.
They'll fix you. They fix everything.